It helped me so much. So here's the funny thing. So I did my first triathlon as a fundraiser, and it was when triathlons were getting really big, and we did it. It was called the Wildflower Triathlon, the biggest triathlon, third biggest in the world at the time. And I did it, and I was terrible. And I'm afraid to exercise outside because I'm like very concerned about safety. It's so nutty. And so I would only exercise in the gym. And I went to the gym every morning at 4:30. And then I started to get good. And I was like Seabiscuit. You know, I was like the quarter horse next to the thoroughbreds. I am not kidding you. And I'd go to these races and I'd look at these women and they were so fit. And I was like, gosh, I'm gonna make this happen. And then one year I rode my dad's bike and I went to the safety check, which you have to do before the races. And I said, oh, sir, the hills are so steep. And sometimes I hear this like noise. And he goes, there's a whole nother gear to help you get up the hills. And I didn't know this, but listen, I didn't know this. I ended up getting 5th. And because I got 5th in that race, I qualified for nationals. I got sort of like ranked nationally. I got preferential starting positions. And it was honestly all heart and grit. And so I stopped doing triathlons because for a number of reasons, but I feel like that grit and that sort of concept of being the quarter horse next to the thoroughbreds is what I've carried with me. And I always want to be the quarter horse and I never want to be the thoroughbred.
What a story. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, I think if anyone saw this network, they would be pretty blown away. I mean, it's awesome. I think, did you tell me that it's 885 people? I mean, that is just unbelievable. So I think making sure that that is available to business schools, I think is terrific. And then I think it's frankly incumbent on the women that work here to get out into their networks and let them know the opportunities at DISH. And sort of about the community, because I think just so often, especially on the corporate side, and I can only speak from my experience at Kellogg, women don't think quite as broadly about corporate opportunities as they do about either the massive companies that churn out huge classes like Procter & Gamble, or they're thinking McKinsey or banking, whatever it might be. So it's really sort of PR, and it has to sort of come from the women who are a part of it, I think.
Thank you.
Indeed, because when we look around our company too, it's amazing how many women are there in terms of in business development, corporate development, technology. It's across the board. There's a number of, it's just getting that word around and word out that this is a great place for women to make an incredible career out of.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's way more valuable than education. It's so funny. You know, I went to business school and I paid for business school myself, and I got out and I had no concept how expensive it was until I realized my buying power when I had to pay off my loans and pay for my apartment. And I don't really encourage, I mean, it can be right for some people if you want to do something fundamentally different or you're lacking the skills. But I think there's nothing more valuable than diving into the opportunity you're given at your company with a great attitude, a determined mindset, and a lot of heart, frankly. It's so cheesy, but like just the heart to be part of the team and to learn from everyone. I think that there's, especially at a place like DISH, right? I mean, it's crazy, the kind of things that you can see and experience. And I think it's way more valuable than the fanciest MBA you could possibly get, my opinion.
Great question, very wise.
So the most inspiring person is definitely my husband. I'm so grateful to be married to someone who makes me a better person and whose practices I always want to emulate. You know, the most inspiring woman, I think that oftentimes that changes for me, and I've actually described this, and inspiring can be positive but can also be motivating, and it's probably my mom. And I think one of the reasons I'm driven so much to have my own career is that she did not have her own career, and it was really hard for her not to have that. And I think from a very young age, I somehow saw that and said to myself, you know, I really value having a career, and that's what I want to do. Career-wise, gosh, you know what? I don't think so, because I've never, sort of like thought to myself career-wise, I'm going to achieve that. I sort of think more broadly, like I want to set myself up for opportunity. So how do I want to be perceived, and what skills do I need that I think will eventually give me opportunity? I could never in my wildest dreams have imagined that I would get to be on these boards. And now being on Chipotle's board, which is outside of Liberty, is so exciting that I'm just hopeful that the tenure on it can be as rewarding as I think it will be, and hope it will be.